by my strength. Ain't nobody man enough to feel the pain. And you could be next, you better give respect, cause ain't nobody breaking this redneck. No, they don't want none. No, they don't want none.
Alright, here we are. We're out on the lake. Opening day was just a couple days ago. I like to be patient. It's hectic out on the water on opening day up here in Minnesota. So sometimes patience pays off, because now there is nobody out here. Absolutely nobody. So we're gonna get out here, get after it, see what we can do. I know you're excited. I'm excited. I can't wait. We're gonna catch some good stuff today. I have a feeling. All right, just stay tuned. Alright, so originally we were going after bass and stuff, but right now the panfish are spawning on beds, so I thought I'd just kind of show you a little bit about how you can have a really fun, cool bite with panfish when you're out there. Maybe maybe what you're looking for that day just isn't biting, or you can't figure it out, so you can go ahead and, you know, go after panfish. Maybe you got kids along. This is a lot of fun for kids. So right now we're kind of in this cove out of the wind. The wind picked up a little bit, so I decided to push back in these coves to search for some fish, and I came across this area full of spawning bluegills and sunfish. So we're gonna try and go after them right here real quick and see if we can't catch a bunch. Let's go. So we're coming up here on the bed here, and we're just gonna kind of stay low. Don't really want them to see you. Can't catch them that way, but you know, sometimes sunfish don't really care. They're just eating whatever comes in front of them. We got some up there. Some of them are kind of small though, so they're not really too interested. They're just kind of hitting at it to keep it off the bed. All right, there we go. Now we got one. All right, there we go. Like I said, easy as that. You find them, you throw something at them, and they'll eat it. You know, not a bad little sunfish. We'll get them back in there so we can go protect this bed. Alright, so what I'm using, I just got this is small little jig. I mean, it's nothing fancy. You can pick these up at Bass Pro, Mills Fleet Farm if you have one around you, Cabela's, they all sell them just over in the panfish section. Not sure which brand this is. They have a lot of brands, and really for the most part they all work about the same. I have found a couple brands that work a little bit better just because they're scented, but you know, I'm sure out on your lake, you know, I mean, really, it's panfish. They're not too picky. I mean, sunfish really aren't picky at all. I've seen people just mess around and put a piece of leaf on their hook when they've ran out of live bait when they're using live bait, and they've caught sunfish on a leaf. So, but yeah, this right here, this is dynamite for everything. Crappies, perch, bluegill. I've even caught some really big bass on this, believe it or not. You know, because they'll be up there feeding on the panfish, and they'll see this and be like, hey, what's that? Boom, hit it. And I've caught some nice ones. All right, let's go back out there and see if we can't get a couple more of these. Just like that. You know, this one's got some nice color to it. You know, just out there protecting its beds. You know, they've been spawning here lately, so now you just got these little males on these beds, for the most part protecting them. So, you know, nothing comes in and eats them, even though these little buggers are the ones that go and destroy a lot of beds for bass, walleye, northern, any of those game fish. But you know what, hey, these are fun. You gotta have these in the lake too. They're a good source of food for those bigger fish. Nice little, nicely colored fish right here. Get him off, get him back in the water. Alright, now look at this one. This is a quality fish right here. That's a nice sized sunfish. This right here is probably a female. You know, we'll get her back out there so she can take care of her eggs and, you know, breed. You gotta have lots of eggs, you know. It's your Korean fish. 70% of those hatchlings aren't going to survive. They're going to get eaten by something else. So yeah, we'll get back out there. Now one thing to keep in mind, a lot of people shy away from fishing the beds. You know, they figure, you know, if you disrupt them on the bed, they're not going to go back, and then the eggs are going to get destroyed. Well, typically, there's more than one fish on the bed protecting it. So you don't usually have to worry about that, but also most of these fish that I've put back, or that I've caught, as soon as I put them back, they're right back on that same bed I caught them off of. So, you know, there really isn't time for anything to go in there and disrupt their eggs in the short period of time I have them out of the water. That's why I try to catch them and then get them back in the water as soon as possible so they can get right back on those beds. Like I said, when you find one, you usually find a bunch of sunfish, especially this time of year. It's mid to late May, you know, the sunfish are starting to move up into the water, into the shallow water, as the temperature's warm. You know, they're on nests. And then really, for most of the summer, you can find the sunfish pretty close to shore. And until the water gets really, really warm, you know, most of these fish are just out in the sun. Later on, when the water temperature gets higher, you're going to want to look for brush, overhanging trees down in the water, docks, something that's going to create shade for them, and you're going to find you know, a surplus of fish just for a good day of a lot of action out on the water. Like, again, great activity if you have kids, if you are a kid, you know, you're going to catch a large quantity of fish, so you're not going to, you know, have to worry about going home skunked. Nobody likes to be skunked. You know, some days I'll go out, you know, fishing for bass, walleye, northern, you know, some of the bigger fish, and, you know, some days they're just not biting, so I'll just, you know, go up into the shallows, find a dock or something, pitch little jigs for panfish, and, you know, it makes for a fun day. You might not catch the biggest fish in the lake, but you're definitely going to have fun reeling something in. There we go, another little fish. You know, not really much size to some of these, but they're fun to catch anyways. Got me in the weeds. But that's okay, you know. I fought him a little bit. He came off. He went right back to his nest. No harm, no foul. But actually, this little lure's taking a beating. It's starting to come apart. I've caught a lot of fish on this one. I've had this one on this on this rod all year long so far, and I've gone out a couple times, you know, casted the banks, did a little scouting, you know, thrown this on. I mean, I bet so far this year, this little lure's caught me over 100 fish, and I've only been out 4 or 5 times so far. So, you know, there's something to be said about some of these lures. Now, another thing to keep in mind as you go out fishing, and you know, maybe it's a new lake that you've never been to, a good tip for any kind of fish, but you know, if you're going after panfish, especially, you know, look for areas that have weeds, and then try and fish the edges of them. Right now, the boat is actually sitting right on top of a pretty good sized weed bed, and I am actually on the shore side of the weed bed. So there's a couple little areas here that there's some weeds, but for the most part it's pretty open, which makes a good area for some of these fish to put their beds. You know, they got a lot of rocky, sandy soil to work with here, you know, with sporadic weeds for a little bit of cover. You know, they're on the inside of the weed bed. They're not out a little deeper. The water's going to stay warmer here, and they're also going to, you know, stay away from some of those bigger fish that might come in and try and eat them while they're laying on their beds. And I'm also in an area, this whole area around me, it's actually like a nature reserve. So, you know, you don't get any people fishing from the shore here, which is another reason they're back in this bay over here, because, you know, unless you have a boat, you're probably not getting to these fish. So they're not getting fished very heavy, which is another great thing to look for when you're out fishing, is to find a spot that doesn't get a lot of pressure, but still has a good makeup to hold a lot of fish. All right, so I think I'm gonna go try and catch a couple more, and then I think I'll probably get back to what I came out here for, and we're gonna go search the lake and try and catch a couple bass. You know, you never know. Maybe I'll just devote the whole episode to pan fishing if I keep finding a good amount of panfish, and we'll just change things up here a little bit, and then we'll just make the next episode about bass. You know, most of the episodes are gonna probably deal with bass or northern. I got a good population of them around me. I'll probably take some trips and go to a couple lakes that have, you know, down south that have some better bass. And you know what? Maybe we'll even go after some muskie if I get the itch. All right, so let's get back at it and see what we can do. Look at that. Look at that. Cast it right back out there, and boom. They were waiting for it. They want to make for some good TV. And this girl, she's pretty fat. She's got some eggs, and she's actually getting ready to drop her eggs. So we'll get her back in there real quick, and you know, let her do her magic, and keep this little area and this lake full of these little sunfish. You know, like I said, you need the bait, the small fish for the big fish to eat, so we can catch some nice big fish. And then you also, you know, it's nice to have these little fish in here so you can take your kids out fishing. You know, sometimes kids get bored. Well, as you can see, I've just caught, you know, quite a few fish in just a couple minutes. So it's a great way to keep your kids interested in fishing. You know, we got to have those younger generation out here fishing, you know, keep the sport alive. You know, it's teach them the right way to fish, teach them, you know, selective harvest. Personally, almost all the fish I catch go back, and you know, once in a while we'll go on a family camping trip, You know, some of those fish we might keep and we'll cook around the campfire at the end of the day. Nothing tastes better than some fresh caught fish over a campfire while you're camping after a long day of fishing. But for the most part, you know, I throw everything back. You know, and there's nothing wrong with keeping fish. You know, just make sure when you're keeping, you know, you're throwing the really big ones back because they produce a lot of eggs, and those really big fish have good genes, so their offspring are going to be big fish typically. So you want to throw those back. You know, you don't want to keep the really, really small ones that don't even get a chance to grow. You know, you just want to keep a nice size where you're going to get, you know, a fair amount of meat off of it, but you're not going to hurt the population by taking those really big ones or those really small ones. All right, so I'm going to get back at it, and you know, we'll stay here for a couple more minutes, and then we're off. We're going to go try and catch something else. There's another one. You know, you don't get bored with this type of fishing. You know, another little, I mean, the fish in here, they're beautiful fish. I mean, this lake is really clear. It's got a lot of weeds. Now, what might surprise you is I'm actually in a lake that is only about 15 minutes south of a major metropolitan area. You know, there's a interstate right here behind us. You know, tons of cars. People probably drive over this every day, and they don't even think twice about fishing this. They're like, ah, metropolitan lakes, you know, they're no good. You'd be surprised. A lot of these metropolitan lakes have a lot of fish, and a lot of them have big, big fish. I have caught out of this lake some pretty nice sized fish already. And I've only been fishing this lake for the last, I don't know, 8 months or so. You know, I relocated to this area. You know, this is now my new home lake. You know, I've only had the boat out on it a couple times. I've done some ice fishing on it, but there's some good fish in here. And there's a couple lakes around here that are the same way. They're, you know, just right outside the city, and there's plenty of big fish to catch. So, you know, don't be afraid to get out there if you live in the city and try one of those lakes. Even some of the little neighborhood ponds have a lot of good fish in them. You just got to get out there and try it. So let's catch a few more, and like I said, I don't know. I'm kind of liking the bite here, so you know, we might just stick with this, but you know, I'll catch a couple more, and then I'm gonna head out and maybe go after those bass like I was planning on doing when I got out here today. All right, so let's get back at her. All right, there you have it. We're done. It was a great day out there. You know, originally, like I said, we were gonna go bass fishing, but I came across those sunfish on their beds, and I knew that, you know, I just had to change it up and make the video about panfish. You know, it's a great video. Kind of gives you techniques for if you have kids, you just want to go out there and just have a fun day fishing. You know, you're not really looking for anything specific. Panfish is a great way to go when you just want a steady catch. You know, you just want to keep catching fish all day long. Boom, boom, boom. Well, you got to go for the panfish. We found a great pattern today. You know, a lot of the fish, they're spawning, so once you find the vegetation, fish the edges. Sometimes you'll find some pockets where they're bedding inside the weed beds. You know, flip a little jig in there, and they're gonna hit it. You know, especially sunfish, they're pretty aggressive. You throw something down there and they're gonna go after it. You know, we caught a couple decent sized sunfish. You know, the rest of them were just, you know, normal sunfish that you catch all the time, but there was a lot of them. You know, again, if you have kids, take them out sunfishing. I know I have kids, so I know they get bored sitting on the boat. You know, they're like, oh, this is boring. You know, they don't have the patience at that young of age that it takes to, you know, sometimes go after bass or walleye or northern. Take them pan fishing. Get them interested. You gotta keep kids interested. And then as they grow older, the patience will come. You know, they'll learn, hey, you know what, if I have a little patience, I'm going to be able to catch those really big fish like Dad catches, or like Mom catches, or like Grandpa catches. You know, we, as adults, have a responsibility to make sure that the youth today get involved in outdoor activity. It doesn't have to be fishing. You know, fishing, that's just... I always loved fishing. Great memories of fishing. It was just something that really stuck with me. And now I pass that on to my kids, and they're starting to love it. You know, there'll be days I'll be, you know, busy with yard work or with work, and they'll be like, Dad, you know what, let's go fishing, you know. And sometimes I'll be like, man, I don't want to, but they really want to go, so you know what, I take them. You got to get them out there. Keep them engaged in the sport. You know, it's a great activity that they can take with them throughout their lives and pass on to their kids. And the more people that get involved in it and know the right way to do it, it's just going to make our lakes and rivers that much better later on. You know, there was a time where we really didn't take care of our lakes and rivers. You know, they got polluted. You know, there used to be times where factories were allowed to just dump their sewage into the lake because, you know, we didn't know any better. Well, now some of those lakes have really begun to turn around, and they're really getting clean. There's a lake in southern Minnesota. There was a packing house on that lake, and they, you know, that's what they did. That lake was filthy. Like, it was one of those lakes where you drove by it and you're like, ooh, I will never fish in that lake because that's just a dirty lake that is so polluted. Now, you go to that lake, you get out there on a boat, and the water is clear. There's good vegetation growing in that lake now. The fish population is really rebounding, and there are some nice, healthy fish on that lake. It's a difficult lake to fish just because of the amount of bait fish and other types of food in that lake for the fish, but that lake is a prime example of what can happen if you do what is right for the environment. And, you know, we're humans, we make mistakes, but we also have the ability to correct our mistakes and fix something that we did years ago and take it back to where it's supposed to be. So, you know, you got to keep kids engaged and, you know, teach them about conservation. Show them the right way to be a good sportsman and outdoorsman. And get out there and just have fun, you know. Family, it's a great family activity. I mean, it's relatively inexpensive. It's something you can do pretty much any day of the week. You know, there's no hours of operation. You don't have to, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we can go now. No. 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m., it doesn't matter what time it is. Get up, head out to the water, and have an outstanding day that will be full of memories. The memories you will take from those times on the water will stick with you forever. I mean, today I made a memory that I'm going to remember for quite a while. I was out there by myself, but dummy me, somehow I managed to throw one of my poles in the lake. Well, needless to say, I spent about 45 minutes fishing for a fishing pole. I was lucky enough that the water was really clear, and we were only in about 4 feet of water, so I was able to get my pole back. But, you know, I'm not going to forget that. You know, I'm out there filming and, you know, trying to put together a great video, and I do a bonehead thing like throw one of my poles in the lake. Well, I'm going to remember that, you know. Now, obviously, that's not the greatest memory, but the fact that it had a good outcome, I still got my pole back and it still works. It's something to laugh about, and I'm going to remember that, and that's a story I'm going to be able to tell for years to come, and people are going to, you know, all get a good laugh out of it. But hey, you know, that stuff happens. But the moral of the story is, I walked away with a memory, you know, and it's kind of a funny memory, so I'd say it's a pretty good memory. So yeah, I'm going to keep making these videos, you know, they're going to get better as I go on. You know, I'm going to get other people involved in the video. We're going to have people fishing with us sometimes. Today I just kind of had time to go out by myself and just do some fishing. We're going to probably go back to that lake a couple times. We're probably going to go after some bass. It's a great bass lake, and it's also got a good population of northern pike, so we'll probably go after those in another video. But I also plan on traveling to other lakes. You know, there's some good lakes around here where I'm not going to have to travel far to make a video, but then there are some other lakes that, you know, they're going to be a little ways away, but I want to get out there and make videos on them, you know, so I can kind of give you a wide variety of lakes and different techniques that certain lakes require to catch fish. So that way, when you go out and take your kids out, you're going to be able to find those fish and catch them. And make those memories, not just by catching fish, but by spending time with your family. You know, maybe you're single, maybe you don't really have a family, that's okay. You can make memories of your own, you know? Stories to tell friends, or stories to look back on when you get older and be like, oh, that was a good day. I have fond memories of that. So, like the video, subscribe to the page, keep watching, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, Fishing with Ant. Just look for it. You'll find it. I'm always posting stuff on there. Short little videos, pictures, you know. Sometimes it's not even fishing related, but, you know, maybe it's something that'll be helpful to you. So, alright. You all have a great day, and I look forward to making more videos for you that'll help you out. So until then, keep it classy.